Yeah, I called Darius that morning and I told him that, your cousins need their haircut for the weekend. And he said, okay, Uncle Sam, I have my things with me. Laws to keep these guns out of kids' hands.
In Memphis, Tennessee, a 15-year-old rapper named Pop Off Grape was shot through his bedroom window while he slept. And the retaliation that followed killed 3 more people in 11 months, including an 18-year-old who had nothing to do with any of it, a young man who was supposed to be a father. And the people who did this were already out of state before his mother even made it to the courtroom. But before we get into that, let's go back to the beginning. Henry Centrell Kynes Jr. was born on March 19, 2010 in Memphis, Tennessee. And from the very beginning, the world he grew up in was not built for kids to survive. He grew up in the Hickory Hill neighborhood on the south side of the city, at a place called the Boulevard Apartments on Erie Drive off Ridgeway Road, and that complex alone will tell you everything you need to know about what kind of childhood Henry had. Between July of 2019 and July of 2024, that one apartment complex saw 5 homicides, 85 aggravated assaults, 224 regular assaults, 54 break-ins, and 28 weapon violations. Henry also had roots in the Mississippi Delta, specifically in Greenwood and Money, Mississippi, where his family had ties going back generations, and after he died, his obituary and burial were handled there at Century Funeral Home, with burial at La Colonia Missionary Baptist Church Cemetery in Money, Mississippi. People from the community later said he should have just stayed in Greenwood, and when you hear the full story, you start to understand exactly what they meant. His mother was a woman named Shonda White, and his older brother was a Memphis rapper named Baby CEO Trell, who ran with the same crew Henry would grow up to join. That crew was called THG 1907, which stood for Tay Hot Gang, sometimes called Hot Boy Gang or Stendo Gang, a set tied to the Hickory Hill area that used the wheelchair emoji as their symbol. Before any of that street life became a full part of Henry's story, though, loss had already found the family. Henry's older sister, Jasmine Kynes, died on May 6, 2023, at just 17 years old in a car crash that happened during a police chase. She had just recently had a baby boy. Despite all of that, Henry had something real working in his favor, and that was his talent. He started rapping around age 12, completely self-taught, no manager or studio connections. It was just raw ability and an ear tuned to the Memphis drill sound that was coming out of the city at the time. By the time he was 14 going on 15, he was pulling serious local attention with tracks like FTO Crazy, which rocked up over 500,000 views. He was putting out music with his brother, Baby CEO Trell, on songs like On Dirt and Send a Drop, with other records like 3K, 4K, 7K, and We On That Part 2, showing that his sound was developing fast. People in the Memphis underground scene were watching him and saying he had the kind of breakout energy that does not come around that often. He was somebody who could genuinely make it out, even while the streets were still right there pulling at him from every direction. His stage name was Pop Off Grape, or Pop Off Grape, and most people just called him PG, and his music was not the kind of thing you would describe as peaceful. He was affiliated with THG 1907, and that meant he was on one side of a very old, very serious beef with a rival group called AOB 1152, which stood for All Off the Blade, a crew with roots in the old Cleburne Homes Projects area around Tate Avenue and Boyd Street in South Memphis. This beef between THG and AOB had been building for a long time, but it got much hotter through 2024 and into 2025 because of drill music and the kind of social media trolling that both sides were taking very seriously. Both crews were putting out diss tracks, posting about rivals online, making references to people who had been hurt or killed on the other side, and generally doing everything possible to keep the tension as high as it could go. Pop Off Grape was not sitting that out. He was known as one of the most active ones when it came to that troll energy, putting people's names in his music, posting diss content directly aimed at AOB and connected groups, and all of this while still being a teenager. Street sources allege that in the weeks leading up to his death, Henry may have been involved in an incident where a home connected to the rival side got shot up. This reportedly pushed a group of connected crews, including DSM and True La Mafia, some of whom allegedly lived in or around the same Boulevard Apartments complex, to start planning something. None of that was ever confirmed by police, but it paints a clear picture of how tight and dangerous the situation around Henry had become by the first week of April 2025. On the night going from April 6th into the early morning hours of April 7th, Henry was home in his bedroom at the Boulevard Apartments, and just hours before everything happened, he posted a video on Instagram from that same bedroom, alive and active, showing everyone exactly where he was. Nobody watching that video could have known what was about to happen. Just after 1 in the morning, someone outside the apartment fired multiple shots directly through Henry's bedroom window while he lay in his bed asleep. His mother and brother were also in the apartment at the time. Police arrived and found Henry with gunshot wounds, and paramedics rushed him to Regional 1 Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead.
We continue to follow breaking news at midday. A 15-year-old is dead after a shooting overnight in Memphis. The shooting happened just after 1 in the morning at this apartment complex on Erie Drive. That's right off Ridgeway Road in Hickory Hill. Police say the teen was shot and taken to Regional 1 in critical condition, where he later died. There's no word on a suspect or motive at this time.
Thank you. Now breaking news, Memphis police investigating a deadly shooting in Hickory Hill. This happened on Ridgewick off Ridgeway and Knight Arnold around 6:30 this evening. MPD says the possible suspects were 3 men dressed in black running down Knight Arnold.
Meanwhile, a 15-year-old was gunned down inside of a Hickory Hill apartment complex. Where the shooting happened is well known to police and WREG. Here's more from our Jarita Patterson on the complex where that attack happened that is already facing a lawsuit.
Despite this Hickory Hill complex being surrounded by an iron gate, violence managed to make its way in overnight, leaving some reconsidering where they call home.
So I really don't even want to live over here no more.
How long have you lived over here?
It's not even been a year, man.
Gotcha.
It's not even been a year, and it's just wild.
Just after 1 a.m., police were called to the Boulevard Apartments, one turn off Ridgeway. Detectives discovered a teenager shot. The 15-year-old victim was rushed away, critically injured. Sadly, he did not survive. This attack was unsettling, to say the least, especially for the man we spoke with, who says this is not the first time violence has come disturbingly close.
And the kids were in the house when my partner died in our house. The dude ran in our house to kill my partner, and he succeeded.
This is a complex your news leaders are all too familiar with. Just last month, Chief Investigator Jessica Gertler spoke with the attorney representing the family of 19-year-old Aaliyah Kyles, who police say was sexually assaulted and killed inside her own apartment last year at the same complex. A 17-year-old has since been arrested and charged. Aaliyah Kyles' parents filed a wrongful death lawsuit.
This apartment complex seems to be the epicenter of crime in the Hickory Hill area.
The attorney representing Kyle's parents went on to share her findings from July 2019 to July 2024, following hundreds of incident reports to include 5 homicides, 85 aggravated assaults, 224 assaults, 54 burglaries or break-ins, and 28 weapon violations. Waking up to bullet holes is certainly not what those living here were expecting. There's still a lot that's being worked out, but we can tell you the gentleman we spoke with telling us he's now working to get out of a lease.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
For your news leader, Jarita Patterson, WREG News Channel 3.
Another life taken too soon, and we reached out to management at that apartment complex, but they declined to comment.
His mother, Shonda White, went straight to Facebook after that and said exactly what was on her mind. She wrote that someone shooting up her house and killing her son while he was sleeping would never sit right with her, that it was a cowardly move, and that God was going to handle whoever was responsible. She also called out the people who were already going online making comments about Greenwood, Mississippi, telling them to stop while her family was trying to grieve. Those posts spread across Memphis drill channels and Reddit immediately, and the people who had been watching this beef play out in real time understood that it had crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. The rivals who were allegedly behind the shooting didn't go quiet on social media either. Posts started appearing on the other side celebrating Henry's death, calling him a pack, which in street slang means treating someone's death like a reward or a prize. Memphis police opened a homicide investigation, called it active, and released no suspects or motive to the public. That case has remained officially unsolved, and the streets were already moving on to the next chapter, which was only 2 weeks away from being written in blood all over again. Memphis had barely had a chance to breathe after Pop Off Grape's death when the other side of the feud made their move, and this time they didn't wait for nighttime. They didn't wait for a bedroom window. Instead, they walked right up in the middle of the afternoon with 4 people and a car full of guns while kids were getting out of school. On April 24, 2025, around 3 in the afternoon, 4 armed men pulled up to the South City apartment complex on Mississippi Boulevard near South Lauderdale Street and South Memphis, which sits just yards away from Booker T. Washington High School. They came in a silver Infiniti, parked, got out, walked into the complex, and opened fire on 2 young men who were right there in the open. Both of them were hit multiple times, and surveillance cameras caught all of it on video. The 2 people they shot were Christian Brown, who went by LC, 17 years old, and had been heading towards what looked like a solid future. His sister, Janice, told Fox 13 that Christian and she had been making plans for him to join the Navy together. Street sources and the Memphis drill community on Reddit identify Christian as LC, an alleged affiliate of AOB 1152, the rival side to Pop Off Grape's THG crew, though mainstream news coverage treated the case strictly as a school shooting tragedy without confirming any gang ties. And then there was Darius Wadley, who is 18 years old, a senior at Booker T. Washington, a standout football player. This young man had already started doing traveling barber work to bring in money for his family and who was expecting his first child, a baby girl, on the way. His uncle Sam Murphy told Fox 13 that Darius was one of those people who radiated life wherever he went, someone who would literally give you your shirt off his back, and that he had been telling his family that he was going to be the person who got his mother out of poverty and into a better situation.
On the morning he was killed, he had plans to cut his cousin's hair and had already told his uncle he was ready to be picked up early. He was not in any diss tracks, not trolling anyone online or connected to AOB or THG in any way. He was simply with his classmate that afternoon, and 4 men decided that was close enough. The school went into lockdown. Police flooded the surrounding blocks. Memorials appeared almost immediately at the scene, teddy bears and flowers placed right where both boys had fallen, and a candlelight vigil and balloon release was held on April 29th with family, friends, and students from both Booker T. Washington and Hamilton high schools coming out to mourn them. Now,
Dreams of graduation, dreams of the future, shattered in just an instant. 2 Booker T. Washington High School students were gunned down just a few feet away from the place where they should have felt safe last week. Now, an 18-year-old is facing charges of first-degree murder in connection to this shooting.
And tonight, the family of one of the victims is breaking their silence, opening their hearts and sharing their pain, only with Fox 13's Sierra Jordan.
I am just steps away from Booker T. Washington High School. Friends and family created a memorial right here to honor the lives of the 2 students who were shot and killed last week. Now, I was able to speak to the sister of one of the victims, and she told me her younger brother, Christian Brown, will not get a chance to fulfill his dreams.
We had plans, talked about him going to the Navy.
Janice Brown told Fox 13 her brother's dreams of joining the Navy were cut short.
He's getting ready to graduate. It was his, it was his prom. He was getting ready to have prom, everything, We pretty much had an amazing bond from the time he was born up until this moment.
Last Thursday, Memphis police say 17-year-old Christian Brown and his friend 18-year-old Darius Wadley were gunned down by 4 men, just steps away from Booker T. Washington High School in South Memphis. Memphis police have 1 suspect in custody. 18-year-old Valdemar Patterson is facing first-degree murder charges, but investigators say they're searching for the other suspects involved.
It don't feel real. It don't feel real.
Instead of preparing for graduation, Christian's family is now planning a funeral. Brown says all that's left are memories and an absence she'll feel for the rest of her life.
I'm still going to fulfill most of our plans. I'm just going to make sure he lived through me as I do that. I'm continuing to stay strong just because I know that's what he would have wanted.
If you have information that could help police, please reach out to Crime Stoppers at 901-528-CASH. Now coming up, more from the family about Christian Brown. In South Memphis, Sierra Jordan, Fox 13 News.
Even more court hearings on the horizon. She says the people who did this need to be held responsible to the fullest extent of the law. But even that won't fill the hole this senseless crime left in her heart.
This world and this city is malevolent. It's shameful, it's evil, it's wicked, and it's the trend to be that way.
Memphis police told Fox 13 this was a gang-related shooting. Simmons and Jackson are still in jail in Murfreesboro right now. They're set to be transferred to Shelby County to face their charges. We'll let you know as soon as that happens. Daryl.
Fox 13's Jack Bilyeu live in downtown Memphis tonight. Jack, thank you.
Yeah, I called Darius that morning and I told him that, your cousins need their haircut for the weekend. And he said, okay, Uncle Sam, I have my things with me. You can come and pick me up early and I'll be already there. He's always concerned about his mom. He said he would be the boy of the family to get his mom out of poverty and put in a place where she deserves to be. Darius was a very exuberant, enthusiastic young man. He was full of life. He was life of the party. I think that it's ludicrous. I mean, something needs to be done. Children are killing each other, losing their lives. We need to be strict on gun laws to keep these guns out of kids' hands.
In broad daylight, gunfire erupting just steps from where Memphis children learn and play.
It's sad when you can't walk out your door. It's sad when your baby can't play outside. It's sad when your baby can't ride a bike or be in the house playing a PlayStation and the bullets come from nowhere.
Booker T. Washington High forced into lockdown as bullets ripped through the afternoon air near South Lauderdale and Mississippi Boulevard.
Rest assured, we are going to find you and we are going to arrest you and make sure that you receive the justice that you need.
Now 2 families are preparing to plan funerals. A neighborhood is demanding answers. Tonight, our crews are across the city. A city screaming, enough is enough.
It's a hurting feeling. And if y'all ain't hurt by watching stuff like this, man, you need to watch your kids. Go get y'all kids, man. Save your baby before you bury your baby. Because you could be the next one. You don't know where these bullets coming from.
Fox 13 News at 9 starts now.
Developing right now, gunfire steps away from where children learn and pray, killing 2 people. A crime scene spilling into the lives of everyone nearby. Shots were fired around 3 o'clock this afternoon in South Memphis.
It happened just as Memphis leaders were unveiling a brand new downtown command center. While one scene was promising safety, the other was screaming tragedy. Here's how it happened. South Lauderdale and Mississippi Boulevard, yards away from Booker T. Washington High School and Temple Church of God in Christ. And tonight, we have live team coverage. Fox 13's Jack Bilyeu was live in downtown where officials were making that big public safety push just as those shots were fired.
But we start with Fox 13's Sierra Jordan, who joins us live at the scene with what happened and what we have learned about this crime. Sierra.
Good evening, Darcy. Daryl. Memphis police cleared the scene about 15 minutes ago. Excuse me. For about 6 hours, police were here investigating the shooting that took the lives of 2 people. Now, I was able to speak to a few people who were here on scene, and they all said the same thing, that they're fed up with the gun violence that continues to plague the community.
The whole community ought to be hurt. We're losing every day and enough is enough.
It was supposed to be a normal Thursday afternoon. until gunfire rang out just yards away from Booker T. Washington High School in South Memphis around 3 p.m. Memphis police say 2 male victims were shot and killed near the intersection of South Lauderdale and Mississippi Boulevard.
I'm hurt. A lot of parents are out here right now crying and hurt. Those boys were seniors in high school. When you say you're going to buy your baby's last suit, you know, she bought the suit for prom. But really, she bought the suit for a funeral.
The deadly shooting put Booker T. Washington on lockdown. That lockdown was lifted shortly after, and students were allowed to leave around 4 p.m. Fox 13 watch officers conduct their investigation at the Clearborn Point at Heritage Landing Apartments. A blue tarp can be seen on the grass next to the apartment complex.
This is not going to be tolerated. And to the suspects who committed this crime, rest assured, we are going to find you and we are going to arrest you and make sure that you receive the justice that you need.
The entire city is fed up with the gun violence, including the founder of Right in Tears. Mary Trice told Fox 13 more action needs to be done from the community to stop the youth violence.
That hurts me that people got to bury their kids. It's sad out here. And ain't nobody doing nothing, but I'm cried out. I don't know nothing else. I asked the police today, what can we do? What can we do?
Now, Memphis police say the suspects are still on the loose and they need your help in finding those responsible for the shooting. If you have video of the shooting or any information about what happened here, please reach out to Crime Stoppers at 901-528-CASH. Darcy, Daryl.
That is Fox 13 Sierra Jordan reporting live tonight. Thank you so much, Sierra.
Here is where the police work and the court evidence come in, because the shooters made a critical mistake. Surveillance footage and court affidavits showed that one of the 4 suspects, an 18-year-old named Valdemar Patterson, got hit by return fire from someone inside the complex as the group was running back to their car. He fell out of the Infiniti when they were leaving. 2 of his crew dragged him back inside the vehicle. Then they dropped him off shirtless at the emergency room at Methodist Hospital on Union Avenue, approximately 6 minutes after the shooting, still wearing a Pooh Shiesty-style mask that was later recovered at the actual crime scene. Investigators connected him through photographs, his clothing, and family members who showed up at the hospital. Patterson was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 for Christian and 1 for Darius.
A crime alert from your news leader. Details in Thursday's shootings that left 2 teenagers dead just mere steps from the school they attended have led to the arrest of one of the alleged shooters. Police have charged 18-year-old Vladimir Patterson with 2 counts of first-degree murder, and investigators are searching for other suspects. Here's WREG's Mike Suriani with more on the story.
Monday morning in South City, birds chirping while crime scene tape flutters in the breeze. Several teddy bears placed just a few feet from where 2 BTW students were killed in a hail of gunfire Thursday afternoon. Those students identified by Memphis police as Christian Brown and Darius Wadley. Through the help of surveillance cameras, MPD released images of armed suspects wanted for the shootings and announced 18-year-old Valdemar Patterson has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder.
According to the police affidavit, Thursday, a silver Infiniti pulled into this apartment complex. There were 4 suspects in the vehicle, all of them armed. All of the suspects got out. The suspects walked through the complex to a point where they shot at the unsuspecting victims. The suspects fled back to the waiting Infiniti, but as one of the suspects was getting back into the vehicle, he was shot by someone in the apartment complex and he fell to the pavement.
Surveillance video showed the other suspects drag the wounded man into the vehicle. In the process, the injured man's hoodie and black t-shirt came off and was left on the pavement. Police say the wounded man was dumped off at Methodist University Hospital ER. That's where he was identified by family and photos from Shelby County Juvenile Court as Valdemar Patterson, a.k.a. Valdemar Richards, and it was linked to the fatal shootings just a few hours earlier. For your news leader in South City, Mike Suriani, WREG News Channel 3.
All right, well, Vladimir Patterson was arraigned this morning and is scheduled for a bail hearing tomorrow. If you have information that can help police find the other suspects, call Crime Stoppers.
At his preliminary hearing on June 3, 2025, the prosecutor laid out the evidence, the judge found probable cause, denied bond, and sent the case to the grand jury. Patterson was going to sit and wait for trial.
Facing charges for a deadly shooting near Booker T. Washington High School back in April will remain in jail tonight without bond. 18-year-old Vladimir Patterson is facing 2 counts of first-degree murder for the April 24th shooting that killed 2 BTW students just a few blocks away from campus. During his preliminary hearing today, the judge ruled that Patterson would remain in jail as the case moves forward, citing public safety concerns and the seriousness of the charges. The case will now head to a grand jury.
We have new details.
2 more suspects, 18-year-old D'Emanuel Jackson and 19-year-old Mario Simmons, were indicted separately. And when warrants went out for them in May, they had already run but did not get far. On June 18th, U.S. Marshals tracked them down at a residence in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, roughly 250 miles from Memphis, and brought them back.
Well, 2 more teenage suspects are in custody tonight for a shooting that killed 2 students back in April near Booker T. Washington High School. Police say 18-year-old D'Emanuel Jackson and 19-year-old Mario Simmons were found at a home in Murfreesboro and arrested by U.S. Marshals. Now, they are now in custody here in Shelby County. Another teen, 18-year-old Vladimir Patterson, was arrested earlier. He's being held without bond.
Service making more arrests in the April murders of 2 Booker T. Washington High School students. And tonight we are hearing from the family of one of the victims. Action News 5's Griffin Demaray live in studio. Griffin, what was their reaction to this recent arrest?
Hey, Joy, the marshals reported that these 2, D'Emanuel Jackson and Mario Simmons, were captured in Middle Tennessee on Wednesday. And one woman I spoke with lost her brother that day in April. And she said it will never be the same.
Everything that happened changed my life for the worse,
Janice Brown and her brother Christian had their whole lives ahead of them, and it all came to a screeching halt. Christian and his friend Darius Wadley were gunned down just steps from Booker T. Washington High School, and the suspects drove off. But after months of searching, 2 suspects are now behind bars. In May, a grand jury indicted 18-year-old D'Emanuel Jackson and 19-year-old Mario Simmons on 2 counts of first-degree murder. Warrants were issued for the arrest. Wednesday, tips led the U.S. Marshals to Jackson and Simmons in Murfreesboro. The pair soon to be brought back to Shelby County to face justice.
Part of me feels a little bit better knowing that, they're not here on the streets or they're not able to hurt anyone else, but I don't feel like it's justified. They took something that, was so valuable to our family, someone who was just valuable, period, in anyone's life,
And that person who was so valuable is now gone. And Brown said no matter what, a little piece of her will always be missing.
I'll never feel peace for real, but I'm going to carry him in spirit, and that'll always make me feel better.
But she also carries him around her neck.
It took some time for me to wear it because it's so emotional, but I also feel very connected to him when I have it on.
Part of Christian's ashes are in her necklace she wears every day, and she said she plans to be wearing it each day in court as well.
They took something that I could never, ever get back or never see again. So, even though I don't feel like justice is served, to show up and actually be there, I feel like I'm putting my best foot forward for my brother.
Both men are currently being held at the Rutherford County Jail and are pending transfer to Shelby County. The 3rd suspect, 18-year-old Vladimir Patterson, was arrested 2 days after the deadly shooting. In studio, Griffin Demaray, Action News 5.
Tiana Brown, Christian's mother, spoke to Fox 13 after the additional arrests came through. She talked about what it was like to sit in that preliminary hearing and listen to investigators describe in detail how the suspect had watched, waited, and then came out in broad daylight right when the school day was ending, when her son walked out with everyone else.
They are menace to society. They don't value life, theirs or others. So I was proud that Memphis City did get them off the streets.
The U.S. Marshals Service announced the arrest of 2 people believed to be responsible for the murders of 2 Booker T. Washington High School students, only yards away from the school campus. D'Emanuel Jackson and Mario Simmons each face 2 counts of first-degree murder. Marshals say that they were captured in Murfreesboro yesterday. Let's go to Fox 13's Jack Bilyeu live at the MPD North Main Station right now. So, Jack, that now brings us up to 3 arrests in this case.
Yeah, Daryl, that's 3 out of the 4 people believed to be involved in this attack that now face charges. Now, we spoke to one of the victims' mothers. She told us those arrests are a relief, but they don't come close to outweighing the loss of her son.
I had just talked to my son an hour and a half before they took his life, FaceTime him and let him know that I just picked up his glasses.
Christiana Brown says her son was the center of her universe. She loved him so much, she gave him her name, minus 1 letter, Christian Brown. She had no idea that FaceTime call would be the last time she'd see him alive. He and another student, Darius Wadley, were gunned down after walking out of school that afternoon in April.
Every day that I wake up, I have to struggle to breathe, knowing that I have to get through this day without my son.
Christian never got to use the glasses she picked up for him the day he was killed. Over the nearly 2 months since the shooting, Brown's seen milestones come and go. His sister walked the stage in Christian's place and received his honorary diploma. Then came dealing with the case. Earlier this month, she had to relive the shooting again during the preliminary hearing for one of those suspects. Valdemar Patterson was allegedly dropped off at the hospital with a gunshot wound the day of the shooting. After he recovered, he headed to court. Brown listened while investigators described in detail what he's accused of doing to her son.
The way these guys waited, watched, got into a good position, and came out in broad daylight when my senior getting out of school at 2.
Now, 2 more arrests, D'Emanuel Jackson and Mario.
A 4th suspect was never publicly named or arrested in any reporting available through April of 2026. 3 people were in custody, charges were moving through the courts, and the case was still far from over. And neither was the feud, because while families were in courtrooms and at grave sites, the clock was already ticking toward the next round. By March of 2026, Memphis had seen 3 young men killed as part of a chain of violence that all traced back to 1 bedroom window and 1 night in April of the previous year. Prison incidents had gone down connected to this same beef. Social media was still running hot with taunts from both sides, and drive-bys had become a regular part of the rhythm of this conflict. And then, on March 30th, 2026, almost exactly 11 months after Henry Kynes was shot in his sleep, the feud came knocking on a new door in a neighborhood called Whitehaven. Around 5:23 in the evening on the 30th block of West Shelby Drive near Neely Road in southwest Memphis, 3 men were shot in the middle of a residential block that people who lived there described as normally calm and quiet. Emergency crews responded to multiple calls coming in at the same time. One of the 3 men was hit badly enough that he was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. The other 2 were taken in as well, 1 critical and 1 with injuries that were serious but not life-threatening. The man who was hurt the worst did not pull through. He died from his wounds.
The lled and 2 others in the hospital in Whitehaven. Memphis police say it happened just before 5:30 on West Shelby Drive. Officers found 3 men shot. 2 were taken in critical condition, with the 3rd non-critical. After arriving at the hospital, 1 of the men died. Investigators say about 30 minutes after the shooting, they found a Dodge Dart believed to have been used by the shooters abandoned at Howard Drive and Stacy Road.
Breaking news, a deadly shooting with multiple victims captured on video. This as a group of kids play near their home in Whitehaven. It's our top story tonight on Fox 13 News at 10. I'm Rob Sneed. Fox 13 Martin Staunton is live tonight. And Martin, I understand that you just heard more gunshots in that area just less than 4 hours after the shooting.
That is correct, Rob. Those shots sounded like they came from that way
east of my position here on West Shelby Drive. Multiple shots, at least a half dozen. This comes just an hour after they reopened this road, which was closed for 3 hours because they were investigating a deadly shooting right on West Shelby Drive in the 34 block. Again, MPD confirming someone was killed in that gun violence. I talked with the grandmother who shared that cell phone video we just shared with our viewers. She lives just off Shelby Drive, and she says that she was inside her home. Her grandkids were playing out back, and one of them captured that deadly gunfire on their cell phone video, taking a calm Palm Sunday afternoon and turning it into terror. Moments of terror and chaos, all captured on a child's cell phone as bullets ripped through the air on West Shelby Drive.
So I just heard gunshots. I'm like, wait a minute, what happened? What's going on? What's going on? It's literally like they was shooting in my living room.
The shots were fired as her grandchildren were in the backyard.
And this is a constant, ongoing thing. I have seen people literally got killed right in front of my house. I mean, this is the ongoing thing. This happened constantly. The gunshots.
The grandmother says the gunfire has become a frighteningly common sound in her Whitehaven neighborhood as investigators work to determine what led to the latest outbreak of violence. Johnson says the pattern is clear and deeply troubling. What are you going to do about it, man?
I'm moving as soon as possible. As soon as possible.
And Rob, we're going to move from this location as soon as possible because just before 6 o'clock, we heard other multiple gunshots coming from that direction here in Whitehaven. The officers standing at the scene had to hear it because we heard it. MPD does report that 2 of the victims taken to the hospital were in critical condition. That third victim was listed as non-critical. The fatal victim died at the hospital, Rob.
Martin, before you go, is there any word on like a suspect or a suspect vehicle?
Yes, there is. In connection with the fatal shooting here on Shelby Drive, MPD reports that they located that victim just around 6 p.m. The vehicle was abandoned on Howard Drive near Stacy Road. Investigators are looking for answers, and they say they need the public's help. Anyone out there, if you know something, you are urged to contact MPD, or you can call Crime Stoppers. Rob?
All right, that's Fox 13's Martin Staunton. Martin, please be safe out there tonight.
The man who was killed was known in that community as AOB YNT Vaughn, also spelled YNT Vaughn, and his first name was Tavon, though his full legal name was not publicly released in any mainstream reporting at the time this research was completed. He was someone that people in Whitehaven knew well and genuinely liked. Neighborhood descriptions of him kept coming back to the same things: warm, reliable, someone the community counted on, a real staple of the area, the kind of person who, in another set of circumstances, you would hear about from people years later and they would still be smiling when they said his name. But Tavon had another side to his reputation too, and in the context of this feud, it's the side that matters most to understand what happened to him. He had been very active in the social media trolling that was being aimed at Pop Off Grape's side. He was posting diss content, going at the THG 1907 crowd online, and keeping himself visible in the back and forth that had been running between AOB and Stendo for months. The Memphis drill community on Reddit had a lot to say about this after he was killed. Multiple threads pointed out that his own Facebook page had gotten deleted at one point because the rival side had been coming at him so hard on there, and the same energy he had been putting into trolling Pop Off Grape's crew had now, at least in the way the streets were reading the situation, come all the way back around to him. One of the Whitehaven residents, a man named Nelson Spratley, told Action News 5 that he had been right inside his home when the shots went off, with his wife watching television in one room and his daughter playing the trumpet in another. The gunfire was close enough that there was no question something serious had just happened right outside. Another grandmother in the area described children nearby who witnessed the whole scene. This was 5:30 in the evening, broad daylight, families at home, kids outside after school, and the shooters clearly weren't concerned about any of that. The suspects left in a silver Dodge Dart, which police found abandoned not long after on Howard Drive near Stacy Road, an area that people who had been paying attention to this feud recognized immediately as being close to locations connected to earlier incidents in the same cycle of violence. No arrests were made and no suspects were named in any public reporting through April 7, 2026. Memphis police are asking anyone with information to reach out to Crime Stoppers. The response on social media after Tavon's death told you everything about where things stood. Posts across Reddit, Threads, and Instagram brought up Pop Off Grape specifically, with the running theme being that all the diss trolling Tavon had been doing toward PG's side had now, at least in the way the streets were reading the situation, come all the way back around to him. The phrase "karma really is real" kept showing up in thread after thread. And that's the part of this story that's really worth sitting with, because what you're looking at here isn't just gang beef. It's a system, and social media is the engine that keeps it running. Every diss track that went up pushed the other side closer to doing something. Every celebration post after someone got killed gave the grieving side more reason to move. Every round of online trolling makes it harder for anyone to step back without losing face. And in that world, losing face isn't just embarrassing, it gets people hurt. The feud between AOB 1152 and THG 1907 didn't start with Pop Off Grape, and it didn't end with Tavon, but the 11 months between their deaths produced 4 people in the ground, a set of families ripped apart, multiple people facing first-degree murder charges, and a city that keeps watching the same story play out with different names and the same ending. What do you think about this case? Let me know in the comments section. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.